What's it gonna be then, eh? How's it going, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Zoobox Goes to the Movies. Returning guest, Big Paul. We're coming back to finish up some Kubrick stuff. Going to be continuing the journey on Kubrick's filmography. Kubrick Boys Reunite. This one's been a long time coming. We've kind of had to put it off a few times. I mean, pretty disgusting behavior from a so-called best friend, but some would say it's degenerate behavior. You know, when you're online a lot, like you start using words like everything. Oh, you're degenerate behavior.
Yeah.
Paul, like he called me. He said, "I saw that you did cuties." He's like, "I can't be associated with that. Disavow." And I was like, "Whoa."
Well, I was fresh off deactivating my Netflix account, and then you and Sarah go on and do a whole bit on it, and I'm just like, I got to disavow Zoobox Nation, and everything it stands for. So,
I mean, that's understandable.
Right, but obviously I'm here tonight, and that's because you've known me for over 20 years, and you have some incriminating shit. So hey, Zoobox Nation, hey, glad to be back.
yeah. It's Did you guys get wrapped up in that?
No, because as you know,
I know you're off. Yeah, you've gone dark. Yeah,
I've been.
Well, that's good. You didn't miss much. So.
No, you go do like what Dave Rubin does. Like he went like dark for like a month, and then like Glenn Beck came up and in chronological order gave him the whole month that
he does that every year, I think.
Yeah, I think he does.
And now he's just, just as a side tangent, I'm not a big Rubin guy anymore. Like when he first started, and you could see his journey to the center. Now he's just become like kind of it's like a company man now, almost.
Just like another like conduit for PragerU, like
kind of a little bit, yeah. I mean, he just kind of went hard libertarian and then just didn't look back, which is, hey, more power to him. I don't have a problem with that, but it stopped being kind of interesting to me if you're not going to have like kind of more of a broad conversation. Like that's kind of where he started as, but then you realize like, oh, he was just getting red pilled for 4 years. That's what you realize when you go back and you watch all of his interviews and stuff. It's like, oh, it's just a man slowly being red pilled.
Mm.
But whatever.
I think what probably is playing into like why he feels a little stale to you is his selection of guests. He's getting more of the same. It's always Candace Owens, and then and then people under her umbrella and over that network, and it's not
Well, it's like a PragerU interview show now, or the Rand Institute. He talks to a lot of people, like the Ayn Rand Institute, the libertarian people, like the serious libertarians, the objectivists.
Yeah.
He even talked to. I know he talked to the founder of the institute, but he's also talked to like some actors that are involved in the institute. You know the guy from the Big Lebowski?
Yeah.
You know one of the guys that fucking shows up in the beginning of the movie to take the carpet back? Not to take the carpet back, who pisses on the carpet.
Right.
He's like, it says here, your name's Lebowski. He's a he's like an objectivist. He's like an Ayn Rand acolyte.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. I was like, ooh, buddy, keep your mouth shut. 2014, though, when he interviewed him, I guess it wasn't so taboo to like actually just speak your opinion.
Yeah, no kidding.
But now here we are. Here we are. Now we're headed into actually a lot of the things, some crossover with current events, with all the like defunding the police talk and whatnot. We're going to be talking about Stanley Kubrick's A Clockwork Orange. We got the movie, okay? We got the book.
Yes, we do.
We've done it all, America. There's nothing else you could do. Maybe you could watch a Rob Ager video or two. I don't know. You could do that too.
Well, yeah. There's an Andy Warhol early adaptation from the 60s as well.
Is it really? Oh, see?
Yeah, but it's fucking dumb. Just like the 21st chapter of Clockwork Orange.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that because it is a huge. It changes everything. Like the whole thing changes.
Okay. Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Paul's like, I thought it was stupid. It's a pussy.
I mean, we already went off topic already, man. But I mean, Are we going to do this whole thing when we start getting to Clockwork Orange and Nadsat, or are we just going to
Well, I was
fucking?
gonna say, like, when this is okay, so we have saw the movie when we were kids. It's like another one of these movies saw way too young. I think we were like 13 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And it's another one of those things where you're like, oh, that's cool.
Well, it's just like when we talk about Platoon and just thinking like Sergeant Barnes was a badass, right? And just us being kids being like, yeah, we should get Droogs, like
I
it's
do remember a little light Drew talk. I don't think we ever. I think it's so clear that this is not a good person.
right.
That it's a little bit more easy to disassociate and be like, okay, like he is raping and killing people. Like, so Sergeant Barnes, who for whatever he does is not like, there's the context of war, there's the context of all these other things. Clockwork Orange is a little different, but like I was going to say, there is kind of some weird modern parallels, probably more so for the book than the movie, because Burgess kind of goes, Anthony Burgess, the writer of the book, kind of sets it in a light dystopia where there isn't a lot of police, and the cities and the towns are kind of taken over by youth gangs that they all go out and like kind of fight at night. They're even like, they make note, I think, in the book when they beat up the bum. They're like even surprised to see him because you're not supposed to be out here at night. This is when we are out, The movie kind of makes general hints towards that, but it's not like explicitly stated. It's just more in the subtext of the movie. But this was the first time you read the book, though, right?
Yeah. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. So I listened to the audiobook, and it was tough. It was really hard to get into with the NatSat.
Yeah,
Going,
which the NatSat, for everybody who knows, this is why I was going to bring this up, is a fictional language that Anthony Burgess, who is a linguist, that was actually his profession, that he created. That's a mixture of like proper English and Russian, and the suffix equivalent of NASDAQ is teen, like, so it's supposed to like kind of work into the theme of the book. But yeah, that is the thing about the book, because it's all first person perspective. It's kind of narrated to you in a certain way, just like in the movie is, right? It's it takes a while, and it's harder, I think, reading the book or listening to the book than it is in the movie, because there's kind of the context is not there. You have like visual context for things when you're watching the movie, so it's kind of easier to understand what they're getting at. But in the book, you have kind of NASDAQ descriptions of things. You're not even really sure what the fuck they're talking about, like, ever, up until I would say like halfway through or a third of the way through. You kind of start acclimating to it, but
yeah, that's when you really pick it up in section 3. But the thing that made me better about it is that NADSAT, Kubrick almost didn't pursue doing this because of NADSAT. He didn't get it at first.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then apparently in earlier publications of the book, because the book came out like in the 50s, I think mid 50s, mid to late.
Yes, I believe so.
So, but they actually accompanied like a dictionary of NADSAT.
Well, it came out in 1963, yeah, and as a promotional tool, they had a dictionary for NADSAT, and the book was released in different.
Promotional tool.
Yeah, yeah. The book was used as, there was 2 editions of the book actually. There's the American release, which omits chapter 21, which is the last chapter of the book, and then there's the European release, which had the whole book. And the reason why, Anthony Burgess was like a struggling writer at the time, and the publisher basically said, you got to lose that last chapter or we're not going to publish it.
American publishers did.
Yes, the American publishers did. And I don't know if, as far as I understand, Kubrick, if you read the foreword to the book, which is written by Anthony Burgess, because he kind of like has a small amount of disdain, because he's like, I've done so many better things, and this is the only one anybody reads because they made that stupid fucking movie that doesn't even represent my story. They didn't even have chapter 21, because he bitches about it in the foreword. He's like, he didn't read the right one.
In his forward, he likens himself to, like, major composers who, their best work, wasn't representative of them, and like all that.
Well, because it's a fair thing, right? Like, so if you think about a band, if you were in a band and like your hit is on your first album, and you think you've done like some mature work later on, but all anybody wants to talk about is Smells Like Teen Spirit, you'd be like, fuck you, man, come on.
Like, fuck yeah, let me go in my giant fucking house and wake up and do whatever the fuck I want because of that
Yeah.
thing that everybody loves. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but
But
see, this is called the
and if I was a struggling artiste, you know, right?
if you believe in the purity of the art form, Paul, you don't do it just for money.
Period of the art form. Period of the art form. Dude, it's he had so much he hated. He hated. I think that was the best part of listening to the audiobook.
Yeah, because so much
Like, let's listen to it again.
there's so much venom. It reminded me because what Arthur C. Clarke does the forward for 2001.
Mm-hmm.
And that one, it's like such a weird juxtaposition because Arthur C. Clarke seems to be in such a level of denial that Stanley Kubrick was not actually cutting him out of the process slowly as he was making the movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's just a different tone. But I don't know. It's funny. It was cool to actually have that kind of historical document from both of those guys to see what their perspective was, having Stanley Kubrick adapt their material or work with them. You know,
Yeah.
it is kind of cool. And I don't, you know, I don't really blame Burgess for feeling that way. I mean, you know who else feels the same way? Stephen King. Stephen King's the same way about The Shining. We probably touched on it when we talked about The Shining, but Stephen King is like, he cannot stand that fucking movie.
Right.
He's like, this is not my fucking story. And everybody comes up to me thinking like, that's Jack Torrance. He's like, that's not Jack Torrance. And I said, sorry, Steve. And I go back to hashtag resistance, you bitch. No, I'm just joking.
Is he on that train? Is he on that
Oh,
train?
in a Stephen Colbert kind of way, where you're like very cringy, like awful, just bad jokes. Just like, come on, this is just off. This just sucks, dude.
It's too bad. That's too bad. But you're saying this is like pretty straightforward as far as like Kubrick goes, right? Because you were just talking about The Shining. We talked about how you just went completely the other way with it. 2001, you completely went a different angle with it. We could argue you went a different angle with it.
Yeah, the subtext is different. Yeah.
Yeah, but this was pretty straightforward, and I know you probably looked into this. With the pressure he was on because this is the first film he did right after 2001, and he was trying to prove that everybody he can make a movie without money. I think the budget was like around 2 million or some change like that, and so maybe that's part of why he just kind of stuck to the material. Because I did read some other interviews book where essentially he was just using the book on site every day as part of like the script.
Yeah.
Where it was running on a better day, I'm squared away and be able to give the source, be a regular old tin pool, but not so much today. But yeah, no, just kind of going right off that. So I wonder if that kind of played into this fact where he thought the source material was good enough, and due to like budget restraints, not want to spend too much time on that, just kind of stuck with the book because he thought that Burgess's story was interesting enough, and he didn't have to take any type of alternate way, which we can get into later. But
I think what
played into like why this was so like straightforward from the source material.
I think it plays into Kubrick's already like his body of work, like his themes about kind of control and agency and free will and what that means, and also kind of the layers of hierarchies that go on in people's lives and the state. I think he actually kind of enriched certain aspects of the book, but I do think it's a very Kubrick. I read the book after, so maybe that's projection on my part. I don't know. I read the book for the first time when I was probably like 22, something like that. So, I'd probably seen the movie 10 times by that time. So it's hard to separate them in my mind almost. But I think the subtext and the conversation is pretty in line with a lot of the things he was obviously interested in, kind of going back all the way to like Lolita, or even revisiting our conversation about Dr. Strangelove and about how the powers that be kind of control people and how that manifests. And especially 2001, there's a lot of stuff like that, like but it's more on a cosmic scale. It's a more broad scale, like man and God scale, right? And then he takes it back in this is to examine in a lot of ways like something he hadn't done yet, which was like kind of just the youth, I suppose, like just how kids are affected by the world around them, their environment, and government influence, and your parents, and
right.
Because like I said, I think it was right before we started recording. We said that it is shockingly close considering the rest of his adaptations. Like it's shockingly close to the source material. It is an adaptation of this book. Totally, 100%. And he adds this little Kubrick flavor. I think there's a few like subtle nods to certain things. He has this thing about like abuse and like sexual stuff that's in there, and it's in here too. It's in every fucking movie he makes. You know, going from
I like harp back on on The Shine a bit, but when we did the episode on The Shine, and we're talking about history of violence, recurrent generational. What was the term? I think you're like generational violence and
generational trauma, and how
generation.
that
And it's just how that cycle begins. And Alex with his parole officer, every scene that's in there is engaged. You definitely get the he assaults him right there in his own home.
in his parents' bed after his parents give him the keys to the house. Like there's so many layers of implication there. You're like, ugh.
Yeah, and then his mom, dressing like way too youthful for her age, wearing the different color weight, like so definitely some type of identity crisis or things like that, and the dad being a complete freaking stiff and like it's I don't know. Yeah, definitely.
The dad is played in the movie is played by Grady. Same guy who plays Grady in The Shining.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was.
I kept wanting him to turn to the camera and be like, "They have to be taught a lesson, sir."
Taught a lesson. Definitely taught a lesson.
No, I think that is the stuff that's the Kubrick stuff. That is, I think, enriched the material because it added this other dimension, this other layer that is very much in theme with the philosophy of what the book is getting at. That's the nature of free will, and does that and does it matter? Is free will important to being a good person? It's kind of at the end of the day, right? Even the phrase "A Clockwork Orange," which is like an old English phrase. Anthony Burgess kind of had his own description of it. He said, "A human being is endowed with free will. He can use this to choose between good and evil. If he can only perform good or only perform evil, then he's a clockwork orange. Like you are just a cog in a wheel if you can only do one of two things. Like a person needs to have this larger life, has to have the capability, the choice, I guess, which is something that's a monologue in the movie that I don't think is in the book, is the priest. He gives basically the philosophical argument about like, well, if you take away his choice, like what's happening? Like then you haven't actually reformed him.
Right.
That's
true. Dude, what are you feeling your conversation tonight with?
Oh. Well, since we're talking about free will and everything, I figured I'd go with some Redemption Rye.
Oh.
High rye bourbon, baby. I liked it last time. Paul had recommended it last time, and I saw it at the store, and it was on sale. I was like, oh, damn, sweet. $22 for that? I was like, cool.
Yeah, man. Redemption Rye. I like that.
But don't worry, I got that Jim Beam. Under the desk. Don't worry.
No, I've been going through a lot of ryes, and then I had this old Scott mulch stuck in me Gulliver, and it got me rookers on some shoulder moves.
Ooh, monkey shoulder. That's.
You wanna don't correct me. I'm doing my bit. I'm correct you. Sean. Yeah. No, so if you want a good blended malt Scotch whiskey, I'm telling you, this will be a good one. As far as it goes, it's a little bit more than a Redemption Rye, but jam. Picked this up the other day, so going through. I got to start writing these down because sometimes I get back like that was a good one. Because I mean, it's like a tank of gas. You know what I mean? It's like not going to kill you, but at the same time, it's still like investment. It's still a commitment. You kind of sometimes these things are like a fancy box of chocolates. You don't want to.
True, that's true.
So, but if you're in the mood for that, go for it.
That looks nice. I like the bottle. It's a nice, classy bottle.
Yeah. So monk shoulder is actually conditioned for when the people distilled it and getting the mash going. And so that's what it's named after. Distilled in Scotland.
I like that it could make you laugh because of the name, but it makes you feel like important because of the way the bottle looks. That's what I like about it.
They got like 3 bronze monkeys engraved into the bottle. It's very neat looking bottle.
When we
Yeah.
decided to bottle this, we decided to engrave monkeys on it to symbolize the
Well,
work of the people,
it's weird 'cause,
the
like
poors.
you don't want to throw it away, but it's like,
I know, and then you end up with bookshelves covered in fucking booze bottles, and you're like, "What I am? Who am I?"
yeah.
I know, like what Sarah used to have a thing for like collecting cool bottles, and at one point we are like, "This is just out of control. Like, we gotta stop this." Your whole house just looks. It makes you look bad. Like if people were to come to your house, they would be like, "What? Who are you? What are you doing in this house? Is this all you people do?" Like, kind of.
Oh man, this reading the book was pretty cool because it almost like because you were talking earlier about have you already seen the movie like 10 times prior to when you read the book in your early 20s. Last time I saw this was when we were in New Hampshire, Massachusetts area, and so I was
Oh
really
wow, this is like
so
15, 16 years ago, probably at least.
yeah. So yeah, I remember some of the things everybody remembers, right? Singing the rain scene and like all, and the watching the videos with the eyes pried open. But I didn't really remember a lot of that. So it was really just going in and reading the book and just kind of getting that. It was definitely a full of rich experience, but then made me kind of go into like kind of normal like well, what was like the political climate, like when these things come out, when we start revisiting these older films or books, where is it coming out? And I was reading this thing from the Leeds University. So it's like the 1960s are generally believed to have been a decade of rapid change in British society. It was a period of preoccupation with natural economic decline. Both Conservative and Labour governments attempted a variety of experiments to boost Britain's underlying growth rate and competitiveness. But most of their energies were absorbed in crisis management, and they had to fight off a series of balance of payments and currency problems. And they still had a direct effect on whether the UK should join the European Union. And not to go on like the whole like dissertation here, but there's constant high levels of public disillusionment with how the state should control or govern its
Yeah,
people. And so there's a lot of going on there. So you kind of um, feel that in the dystopian context of the world that Burgess made for us, right?
well, because Burgess is referencing probably things like that. He's referencing the beginning of '60s freewheeling lifestyle stuff, like the hedonism of the '60s, and also he's making kind of overtures towards socialism. Some of the things that happened with controlled and state workers, and kind of how the state is your parent. I mean, that's because that's a big theme of the book. It's like the state is your parent, or the
Yeah.
activists are your parent, because the parents are so aloof. They're
Right.
just automatons,
Right.
and they're just like I wonder what he does at night for work. Well, you told, and for context, in the book at least, he's 15. Alex is 15 at the start of the book. It ends when he's 18. But so yeah, I can totally see how that would factor into kind of the world building that Burgess was going for, 100%. And I think
Yeah.
the movie being made post '60s era is interesting because it's like it leans into the hedonism stuff probably more than the book does. Although the book's pretty brutal.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I mean, what's a couple murder rapes between buddies, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
So
these boys were drinking milk, mother's milk.
mother's milk.
They're not even that bad. They're cool guys.
Man. But what? So yeah, the book, late 50s, early 60s, and then the
63.
movie.
63 the 63 the book comes out. The movie comes out in, hold on. I can't believe I don't know this.
The movie came out in 72, February 72.
Yeah, yeah.
And so just real quick, just kind of put in the context of what's going on in London, England. One big, one big pond there. In the month of February in which the film was released in 1972, protesters burned down the British Embassy in Dublin.
Mm-hmm.
Great Britain and Northern Ireland competed in the Winter Olympics in Japan. A state of emergency was declared by health as a result of miners' strike. The official Irish Republican Army, IRA, bombed and killed 6 people. and a barracks bombing. And as we always do with Kubrick movies, what was going on in NASA? Mariner 9 was released, launched. So, and that's it. Okay.
He was trying to cover it up. He was trying to create a controversy, a global controversy.
I'll try it that way too. Yeah. So I mean, things are spicy. Things are spicy in London.
Well, even I mean, it gives the impetus for this movie to actually be banned in the UK up until like what is it the 2000 something, like 2001, like actually be officially released not until like 2000 or something.
Yeah, there was all kinds of like copycat, killers or like copycat gang rapes or things like that, where people were citing the and that's also a recurring thing throughout all of our lives. Let's blame the video games. Our man Oliver Stone dealt with some of that with natural born killers, right?
Yes,
so,
actually, yeah. Which is that's another one we got to get to. But
yeah. Well, when we finish Kubrick, we got to have an honest conversation about who's next. So it could be Stone, but I do think the Coen brothers would be a lot of fun. But anyways, I digress.
Well, we could have Coen brothers be like the work, the structure, and then in between you throw in a Stone movie every once in a while. Yeah. Maybe a Fincher movie every once in a while. Maybe we watch like Zodiac or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, don't threaten me with a good time. But but no. And actually, I read this really cool article talking about how Clockwork Orange revamped or emphasized the punk scene, because late 60s. Some would argue, if you're a purist or not, like when punk started, right? A lot of people are like, the 60s. Late 60s.
It started in America, bitches, and it's the fucking Stooges.
Oh,
Like, don't even like these fuckers. These Britpop fucks. They forget the Clash came out in like the late 70s. Go fuck yourself. It was the Stooges. It was the New York Dolls. We own that shit. You don't get to own punk, UK. You get you get to own rock and roll, even though it was all Americans that went over to England to establish that. But whatever. I'm just saying.
Our man Stanley Kubrick, American man, New Yorker, goes over to England, make better films than they do,
Yeah.
So
you got to show them how it's done.
And that's why I love Zubak Nation, man. So we're just a bunch of patriots, man. That's right.
Yeah, there we do.
Fucking. So I don't care how long the revolution was. Go fuck yourself. We'll take the road freedom away from ourselves. We don't need your ass. We don't need your shit. Come on. Yeah. Both the time of the book and when the movie was released, things were spicy.
They were. Yeah, it's almost kind of in a way, they are reflections of their time. It is a projection from an artist, like probably seeing things in the world and then responding to material. In the case of Stanley Kubrick, seeing how Clockwork Orange is prescient, maybe even a little prophetic. I mean, I think it's kind of crazy how prescient I felt the movie was watching it now. Especially just all the turmoil that's going on in the world. You're like, okay, well, this is kind of what this is. This is a little bit of like these ideological cults, people kind of just responding mechanically because of social media. Because that's another big component of the book is acting mechanically. This is actually not thinking about things, not choosing things, just doing things. Mm-hmm. Like that's just because like you think you should, or that's your role, or whatever. And especially when it comes to younger people, I think on both sides of the ideological spectrum, whether you're a fucking like Antifa Black Bloc or you're Charlie Kirk, these fucking new Republicans, it's the same kind of thing. They're kind of sycophantic, in a weird way. And these people, and if you really get into what's going on in the book and in the movie, and I think the movie actually fairly represents it. You're seeing that. You're seeing that the droogs, through Alex mostly. Alex is obviously the smartest of them. He's the most intelligent, right? He's like, I'm going to save Western culture guy. Because that's his appreciation of art, his appreciation of music, obviously, is a big part of the thing. He's obviously really well read. He's kind of just bored with school, which leads him to try to find other things to stimulate himself. No pun intended. So I saw a lot of parallels, I guess, to some things that are going on in the world today. Granted, maybe that's projection, 100%, but probably not because I'm always right. So.
Yeah.
Did you catch any of that? Like any of the kind of the youth culture feeling, or am I just fucking out there?
Well, youth culture in the terms of what? Because I mean, like in terms of like rebellion, like rebellious use, like
Well,
yes.
rebellious use, but they're mindlessly motivated. It's not like they're revolutionaries in the sense of where there is like a goal that they understand and it's clear and they're fighting for something specific. It's very nebulous. Don't you hate racism, dog? Well, let's
Mm.
burn down this gas station. Like, it's not, these things do not add up. The types of behaviors of people. And like you can make them, there is some sort of like sense of like, like kind of black bloc outrage with the, like, especially with like the Droogs, because they're kind of just lashing out at the older generations and intelligentsia people, right? They go to the few people that we see them attack in the movie at least is rich people. They're not like, I mean, they beat up a bum because a bum is singing a song harkening back to the old days,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like he's fantasizing or thinking of himself when he was relevant in the glory of
Right.
like some past event, and that really kind of enrages Alex, makes him
Yeah,
mad.
yeah, because this is no country for old men. Right?
No.
But also in the book who they attack, which I think is interesting, but they don't. It's not in the film. Is like a professor, and he has like a series of books, and they try and like look at what he's reading, and then just completely like rip up the books and just whoop the shit out of them as well.
Yeah, because they have a disdain for the establishment, like no matter in whatever form it takes. So if you have an old bum kind of reminding them of the establishment, you have like these old artists and their nice houses out in the country.
Mm-hmm.
You have this like the woman with the cats and all the expensive like jewels and art and stuff like that. Uh, for
And,
some, I mean, there's
and
the motive
giant phallic statues.
in the movie. Yeah, Kubrick's like, yeah, where am I gonna put my dicks? I got it.
Yeah, there's no shortage of dicks. No shortage of
Oh,
dicks.
there's dicks out. Even Alex Mask, the long nose, looks like a fucking
It
dick.
was Pinocchio because he's like lying about breaking into the house. That's not a dick.
Oh, that's that too. But like that,
Got your mind in the gutter there, son.
get your mind in the gutter there, boy. No dicks allowed in this podcast. No dicks allowed in this Kubrick film. Castrate this man. He's a sick. He's a deviant. Watching cuties talking about dicks in movies.
And liking them. And liking them.
Yeah, he thinks they mean something. This sick fuck. Well, there's dicks everywhere.
Yeah.
And all of Kubrick's work, I think, because he uses it like in the traditional.
Kubrick film, like you'll get it. You'll get it.
Well, I think he uses it in the more like classical intellectual sense of like meaning a symbol for like the patriarchy in the actual sense of a patriarchy, not in the kind of way we might use it today, but like a patriarchal force being kind of overbearing. He's constantly, a lot of his male characters in his movies are very aggressive. They're like very sexually aggressive a lot of times as well.
Yeah.
That's the theme with him. So I think that's kind of his, I guess, maybe his what do you want to call it? Like his douchey like hat tip, be like I'm very smart. I'm not one of these people. Even though he kind of was. He was one of these aggressive male douchebags.
Well, I think any guy born, like when was he born, in the 40s?
Yeah, or 30s, late 30s, I think, right?
40s, like so. I mean, like I think they all are because I mean that's just part of like being born in that time frame. Like
he's also famous for just being he's born in 1928 actually. He's just famous for being a very tough, aggressive director. Like, let's do 100 takes. I don't give a fuck if we're here for 2 weeks. Like,
didn't Malcolm McDowell, the guy who played Alex in the film, didn't he have like some issues with him?
Yes and no. It was like a love relationship. He had issues after the fact because they were very, very close when they made the movie, like intimately close. He was like his son.
Right.
And then once the movie was over, he just like never talked to him again.
Well, it's like a condom. Get over yourself. Did you really think you're at that Kubrick level? You just want to keep her in?
I mean, this
Man
guy
was
Malcolm
on a
McDowell.
budget. The man was on a budget. Come on, just take it for what it was and just move on with your life.
You had a good time. You got yours. Okay, fucking move on.
In the breakup, you know, he could have had a part in his later works. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe you could have been Grady, you know? So, but no.
Maybe,
You
maybe.
know.
No, you never know. You know, we're a half hour in.
I gotta say this because I'll be mad at myself if I don't say it. But I couldn't help myself because it was the first thing he did after 2001. And remember how we talked about 2001 opening up with, you know, the dark screen and then that, you know, ominous music playing in the background. Like this one, like red screen, red is obviously the color of, you know, alert, you know, danger. And then the Queen funeral was actually first posted in 1695.
Yeah.
Yeah, I looked that up. That I don't know why I remember that date. Yeah. And I'm trying to think. I was like, what do you think about playing, you know, the Queen? It was like Queen Elizabeth II's funeral song, like start up that, because that's a prominent like theme song throughout there. He's got
It is
true and that. So
I think you could consider it like the main theme of the movie, pretty much. I mean, it's the most recognizable thing. You know, in my my dalliances with like making little skits and stuff like that, I've used that song several times. I just think it's a perfectly weird, like light but very ominous piece of music.
right.
Especially doing the way they did it with kind of the synth versions. I'm not sure like what the reason was. Maybe it's kind of like they represent death. They represent the death of, like, you know, whatever they approach, whatever they come to, they kind of have an eye towards destruction. I think the way it starts, the way it does with like that, it's like red, but I think you could probably maybe argue it's like a really deep orange. Is that I think it's like it's one of these 2001 things where he's like implicating the audience. He's like, you are a Clockwork Orange. That's you. I'm telling you now. You see orange. You're controlled. You know, because seems like a very Kubrick thing to do. You know,
yeah.
I don't think I don't know that for sure. I've never heard anybody confirm that. That's like my own opinion, especially relative to what you said about the 2001, which was like this place setter, this mood setter, but it's also more than that. Because I think we both kind of came to the conclusion, I don't want to speak for you, but like you're looking at the monolith. His movie is the monolith. Like that is what he's saying. It is this doorway to this other way of thinking, this other life-changing paradigms. That's what he felt the movie was. Right. Or, you know, in a meta sense.
Well, yeah, and then getting you to look like, here's your, like, what your reaction would be, right? Without even thinking about it, like, consciously, like later on, like if I saw this monolith in person for the first time, what would my reaction be? Well, you kind of had that already when you were looking at the monolith before this even started, before you even knew it. How'd you feel then? You know, so like, but I just definitely took it. This one with Clockwork Orange is just basically like just setting the tone, because you're looking at it, I think it's about a minute long.
It is the credits, yeah.
Yeah, but about that, and just kind of going right into it, you know, and then in that great open scene with the Grover Milk Bar, you know, that was good. Just really kind of set up the whole scene.
Well, it sets the mood perfectly. You just like, it feels, you know, and that's the cool thing about watching the movie and then reading the book. Like they line up so well. Like when I'm reading the book, like I can just hear the music. I just see those characters. Like I think the movie actually kind of nails that stuff.
Well, actually, you know what fucked me up about reading the book?
What?
Was the outfits they're wearing. Because they each had like a codpiece, but one was like a spider, one, you know.
Yeah.
Or like all that other stuff like that. And I do remember, I'm like, oh, they're just wearing all white and stuff like that. And this one.
Well, they do have like the cufflinks that are like eyeballs. There's like some viscera, like rubber fake viscera stuff on some of their suspenders. That could have been a budget thing, right? Like, as you said, it's really low budget. It's also the eyeball thing is like at the peak of a triangle on your cufflink.
Right.
It's like the all-seeing eye, like type of reference. Like, because there's tons of pyramid references. There's tons of like things like that, like hierarchy structures. That is constant. That's all over the movie. Like even in shadows, that characters will form like triangles,
right?
In classic Kubrick form, like the most like tedious, meticulous guy. Like that's just all over the movie, working on you subconsciously. But I didn't even ask you, like, what did you like the movie? Like coming back to it, watching it this time, so long afterwards, and after experiencing the book, like, did you like the movie?
Um, well, I love the movie.
Yeah, me
Uh,
too.
I love the movie, and coming to this round now, like watching as an adult, just really, really just taking on a different level with that whole. I love exploring the whole concept of if you don't have free will, what the hell are you? And then also the underlying cautionary tale of the powers of the state and the programs that they in which they'll implement, right?
Hmm.
I think that's why we did 1984, right? To kind of talk.
Yeah, because I think there's a little bit of crossover, right? There is a just this dystopian sense, like, that's really not. I think philosophically, that's not what the book is. Not as concerned with that stuff, but it's definitely
Yeah,
there. I think it's more in the movie that is probably more concerned with it because they pay so much attention to the minutia of bureaucracy, like especially during like the prison stuff, and then during the Ludovico treatment section of the movie. Um, there's so much attention to detail paid to just like having to stand on the line and like the way that the officer acts, the guy that's like kind of the prison officer,
right.
who honestly I don't know if I was just in a weird mood, but this movie is fucking hysterical. Like it's a really funny movie.
So that's kind of like what I would get into, like a little bit too, because it was just because I think you sent me the Rob Ager thing where he
Mm-mm.
was saying that like Alex is full of shit throughout the whole movie, from like when he was like cured, moving on. Did you send me that?
I did not send you that, but you did find that on your own, yeah. The Ludovico lie. I actually just watched. I watched part of it like a couple hours ago.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a bit of that, but what I love about I love the fact. Thank you for like getting me onto the Rob Ager guy. Like
Oh,
he
he's
is really
awesome.
the way
Yeah.
he breaks down things is just like, how did you even look or like think to look there? Or, like why?
Well, it's because he's seen it like literally a million times, and he's got like the books and the archives, and he goes to London to look at the stuff and goes through everything. Like, and he's like also he works in like mental institutions. I think he works with the mentally ill.
Okay.
That's kind of what he does for his day job, and then he does these movie analysis stuff on the back end.
Yeah.
Like I've said, I'm not a big Patreon person. I don't patronize many creators and stuff, but Rob Ager gets $3 a month for me. I just like his work, so I'm just like, yeah, fuck it, here, $3.
Well, not to get too off topic, I love the dabs and praise he gives Predator.
Oh yeah,
Predator. He's got. Did you see a shit on the Predator?
I have, of course, I have. He just came out with a slew of stuff
I
about Alien.
$3 a month. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, yeah. I went down a rabbit hole with that. I was just like, oh my god, yeah. It just he convinces you that the movie was even better than what you thought it was, right?
And I already
It's,
love Predator, so
I know. It's really good, but no, but he did a great job with the Clockwork Orange one, talking about like the cartoony violence when they had like the rival gang, just everything being over the top,
yeah.
and then the really dramatic whiny violin scenes when like and we're supposed to feel like oh poor Alex.
Well, it's
Uh,
melodramatic. It's melodramatic. It's funny because
yeah,
it's like you can like literally see somebody behind him and like
yeah,
like strumming the violin and be like, "You poor bastard," and it's laughing at you. It's fucking laughing at Alex.
yeah, like like what you think was going to happen. This is what you get. So and that was but that was actually that sentiment right there. Like, what do you think you're going to get? That was in the book. They didn't do that in the movie. When after Alex undergoes the Levica treatment, they're doing the demonstration there.
Yeah,
Like he says, he actually says the title, like, what am I? Just some Clockwork Orange? Am I this? All that, and then like you made your decisions. You don't have to. There's like this whole like lecturing bit at him about this is what you get for the crimes that you've done. That wasn't there in the book, but in the film. But was it in there like through the layering of the music and then the dramatic sequence of how it because
yeah,
it's way more distinct in the film,
yes.
obviously because they put it down.
I think that's just like something that works in the book because you need to have that. Like you need to actually have the conversation. But in the movie, I think because of the visual components, like it is enough. There's just enough implied that for him to say, "What am I, a Clockwork Orange?" would be very on the nose, right? It reminds me of what's it? Do you remember the Upright Citizens Brigade?
Oh yeah.
Do you remember the fucking sketch where it's like this guy who works at a movie rental place and he keeps telling this other dude like, I have the titular line in Star Wars. Do you remember that? And then he will just fill.
When we talked about 2001, you brought up this bit then too.
Oh, did I really? Oh shit.
But it's
well, there
okay.
You go.
It plays into the theme of reoccurrence, you know?
Because that would be like, if Malcolm McDowell, if he had to say like, what am I, a Clockwork Orange?
Yeah, that'd be cheesy as fuck. But yeah,
no, because they basically put that speech in the.
It does change. It does change a little bit because even after in the book, even after like undergoing the Levico treatment and then asking for justice, like right there before he's even released out there, and then getting like scolded to, but in the film completely goes along with it. You know what I mean? That is a difference.
I think there's definitely subtle differences, and I think a lot of that has to do with the last chapter. That's not included in this story. It's like you have to build Alex to be a slightly different character for that last chapter to make sense. The Kubrick version, while I think is a very faithful adaptation for the most part, is a much more cynical version of the story. Much more cynical. Like it just does not have interest. It's not interested in saying things will get better. Whereas in the book, spoiler alert, everybody, chapter 21 is about Alex growing up and being like, I'm growing out of this. I'm not this person. Maybe I am more than just this. I'm more than just these base needs and impulses. I have desires that are more adult. I want to go have dinner with my friend and his wife. Like,
okay, so chapter 21, right? In a nutshell, if you haven't read chapter 21, he gets on with his life. He actually tries to get new droogs. He tries to go ahead and go back to business as normal because I'm a free man. I got this and blah, blah, blah. I'm going to go through this. And then he decides, like on his own, that I'm not getting anything out of this. This is not tickling my fancy anymore. The ultra violence is done. The whatever they're lacing my milk with now is not doing the trick anymore. I had enough. Now I'm going to go on. I'm thinking about maybe I want a child. I want to do this. I want to grow. But the real catalyst to go into that direction is when he meets one of his former troops that is married, and then saying himself, and then his wife, making fun of their Natset dialect. Did you really used to talk like this? They gets kind of a little embarrassed, like, oh wow, you think I'm a joke? I was the shit. And you're like, husband, was one of my droogs. Actually, fun fact, I whooped the shit out of him because he thought about usurping me. Him and
exactly.
Billy, fuck those guys. But then that was really callous of this, and then he decides to move on. And he's like, oh, I can grow up, and thus like the theme of like free will. Can we move on? Can we actually be a good person without it? Or if you take that away, what are you? You're nothing. But so then Burgess eventually says like you can have like a rough path, but free will you can get there. Or
you can grow up. You're allowed to grow up. You're allowed to make mistakes. You could say in a weird way, in context of the novel, it's the first time Alex actually has like agency. There's not some sort of control mechanism, whether it's the context of society or the way the state's treating him or the way these activists end up treating him as well, because they're just another faction of people trying to control him in a certain way. Actually, a lot of the stuff with the activists mirrors his prison experience. And I think that's the point of the book, I know, but do you not like the story with that final chapter?
I don't think I get it. I can totally understand like why people are like, no, like just cut it out, because I think it makes it boring. I'm not well. Listen, I don't need to give me like about watching that. to feel like, okay, yeah, maybe there's hope. When we did 1984, and I talked about how the film
Well,
betrays
it's
the
kind
book
of
by
it's kind
giving it
yes.
right, and
Yeah.
it's just like it's fucking dumb.
Well, then maybe Kubrick should have adapted 1984 then, Paul. I'm joking.
Dude,
It would have been awesome.
it probably would have been. It probably would have been. So, but it's just like
Yeah,
for
but that
the
don't
book,
you think
I enjoyed listening to the book, but from like the movie experience, I'm glad he didn't do it. Because where are you going to go with that?
oh the movies it's perfect the way it is. Like I would never want that last chapter in the movie. Never.
Yeah,
I do think it undermines the intention of the book though. I listen. I think the last chapter of A Clockwork Orange, the novel that I totally own, no faking, uh,
again,
is corny as fuck. Like it
yeah,
is a different tone. It's almost like he wrote it a year later. That's what it feels like. But I also understand that it is kind of the point of the story, like Burgess's version of the story. That's his point. That's what the point he's trying to make. About like this idea if Alex has the free will to choose and actually just has the space and doesn't have all these control mechanisms, he's not a clockwork orange, like that's all bad or all good, that a normal person will kind of just like self-actualize and even out. Like most people do. Like when we're all kids. Like we're all fucking droogs when we're kids. I mean, maybe not, quite as bad, but like,
but just
you're breaking property, you're fucking doing donuts in a parking lot somewhere. Like you're just being wild. You're
yeah,
drinking.
like you remember when we like raped 2 10-year-old girls, right? Yeah, you remember that,
Oh my
right? I mean,
God.
look at us now. Look at us now. No, fuck that. Fuck that shit, man. Because that's the thing. Like, in the
Look at
novel,
us. Well, it's an extreme example, Paul. It's an extreme example.
way more gruesome. And I hate the fact that in chapter 21 that you're supposed to fucking like, oh yeah, this is good though. He like on his own. Like, then fuck that.
You know what I thought? You know what was crazy? When in my sense memory, because it had been 10 years since I read the book, and when I came back to it this time, I thought there was a time jump. I was like, he's 18 in chapter 21.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, that doesn't make any fucking sense to me. I'm like, they should have made him like 25. Like,
Yeah.
15 at the start of the story, 18 when he gets out of prison with the activists, and then just have a time jump. Like, just jump in time 10 years, please. Because, like, it does not play if you're like, well, he's 18 now. He's a man. Okay? He can vote now.
We didn't even give a shout out. Usually do a bit by who directed it, who's in it, and everything
Oh,
like
well,
that.
it's Clockwork Orange, baby. I mean, come
It's
on.
Orange, right? But I think it's important that we give a shout out to Darth
You
Vader.
want to give it? Okay, I'll give the particulars, as I call it.
You
Uh,
don't have to give particulars.
Today
I
we're gonna
just
be talking about the 1971 film A Clockwork Orange, directed by Stanley Kubrick, screenplay by Stanley Kubrick, adapted from a novel of the same name by Anthony Burgess. It stars Malcolm McDowell, Patrick McGee, Michael Bates, Warren Clark, John Clive, Adrian Corey, Carl During, Clive Francis, Miriam Carlin, and others. The plot synopsis, the log line from IMDb goes as follows: in the future, a sadistic gang leader is imprisoned and volunteers for a conduct aversion experiment, but it doesn't go as planned. There you go. That's Clockwork Orange, everybody. That's what I would normally do in the beginning. Yeah, that's my daily videos. That's like I got it. I got it good now.
listen, subscribe to daily videos, okay? And when I listen to this and pretend that I wasn't part of the conversation, it's gonna put me up when I start up. Like, wait, whoa.
Hey,
What are we
you're
listening
right.
to right now? What are
Paul's.
we listening to?
Everybody. Paul's right. Like sometimes you got to pay your due diligence to the format gods. The format gods are gonna be like, this is not format. What have you done? There's probably some sad guy who was like, oh, I thought I was listening to Zoobox Goes to the Movies. I'm just listening to two guys talk. Fuck
Yeah,
that. What are they even
yeah.
talking about? Now,
It's
54 minutes in, they're like, oh, we're talking about A Clockwork Orange.
no, really. I just want to talk about Darth Vader being in it. That's
Oh my God. Oh my goodness.
all. No, I know.
I like the movie more than I like the book.
Oh, fuck
I
yes.
think the book is kind of it's a
Absolutely.
slog because the movie is so like visually interesting and so like exciting and visceral. And the book like maybe I agree with Burgess. It's like, dude, this is not my best stuff. Like, please read something else I wrote. Like it's okay. It's not bad by any stretch of imagination. It's not a bad book or anything.
Consistent. So he made up a language, right?
Yeah.
And he also made it a point to point out that like that was like that gangs like language to do this, and it was and it represented like an arc of like the mindset that character was in, and that was part of like growing up was to ditch that, right? So just coming up with that in a consistent marathon, it was like it was incredible. Like
Well,
it's a very
the fact that the root suffix of fucking Nasdaq actually means teen is impressive. Like he's a good. He's got a brain on him, guys. He's galaxy brain, okay? Like
incredibly intelligent dude. Like it was like I'm not gonna lie, in the beginning it was hard to get into like listening. It was really hard to do, but once you do, it's good. And he's very detailed and it's very graphic. And like you felt that you did see the universe that he was painting. That world that you're like stepping into.
well, that's the thing. It's like, to me, it was like reading Shakespeare when you're a kid. It really helps if you've seen like a Shakespeare movie or play, because you can kind of like then you can in your mind's eye, the voice that's in your head when you're reading something, like you understand the rhythm. If you're just like a teenager reading a fucking Shakespeare play in high school, that's boring. That doesn't work. They should show kids a play or a movie first. I'm like, this is how it's spoken. This is the rhythm of it. This is how it works. For reference in your head, and it puts it into context.
Yeah.
It's like reading some foreign fucking language in a vacuum, and you're trying to pick up the nuances of it, and it just doesn't play right. I think having watched the movie before reading the book, watching it so many times as a teenager, when I finally did get to the book, it just kind of clicked. I just kind of got it. Like I understood what they were talking about. But yeah, I mean, I'm also, I'm super cool. So
super cool, super smart. You pick up on so many things so fast.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. My life is just
Talk about audiobooks at like double and a half speed, and I'm like rewinding chapters. Like what?
Oh, dude, I got to rewind chapters sometimes. So, but at 1.5 speed though, I get it done faster, even if I got to rewind.
Yeah.
It depends on that's all depends on the reader. There are some people that read super slow. Like there's some people that are like stomping, whomping, stealing. And then there's some people like stomping, whomping, stealing. You can't do that with those guys, but the first guys, you can be like, fucking doubled speed, bitch. Like I don't have time for your fucking failed theater actor dreams. Like fucking let's go. Are you listening? You're listening to the Dune? Are you listening to the Dune audiobook?
I'm going to switch over to Dune after I picked up the Wild Card series again.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Finishing.
Dune is pretty good. You can't go more than 1.25 with that guy because it is a performance, and then there's other actors in it too. So,
well, right. I mean, with Wild Card's an anthology, so he has like several different people on. Yeah, like you can't do it. You can't.
I know this is a tangent, but another hot recommend: Audible only. Okay, The Sandman. It's just like a 10-hour, fully acted, fully produced like audio play. Based on Neil Gaiman's comic book series Sandman.
Okay,
I started it. Pretty good.
Yeah. No, I'll do it. I have a punch list that I need to knock out. One of my colleagues is sending me all these fucking short, like sci-fi ones too. They says are really good. And I'm just like, all right.
Dude, you should get a fucking. I just started it. I just started the audiobook because I read the book years ago, and I was like, I don't need to read this again, but I'll listen to it. I got it on Audible. Paul Giamatti reads A Scanner Darkly.
Oh, no shit.
Do you remember the movie with Keanu Reeves and stuff? Okay. Okay, maybe someday we got to do that because that would be fun. Because that movie's only good if you've read the book. But Paul Giamatti is great. He's the perfect guy to read that.
Paul Giamatti is like one of those people I see like in Hollywood that I want to be friends with in real life.
Well, he's and you're curious about like why didn't he get here? Because he's somebody's kid. That's why. He's like a famous agent's kid. That's how Paul Giamatti has a career.
I'm trying to in real life, dude. I can't. He's not gonna be friends with me if you're talking shit about him.
I know. You know what's funny? Another tangent. I got in a fight with Devon Sawa. Do you remember Idle Hands?
No.
Do you remember Final Destination?
No.
Well, I think this is not gonna be
So
some
what the shit?
washed up Jonathan.
That was
Some
like one of the teeny
teeny
murder.
guys.
Yeah, yeah.
The Jonathan Taylor Thomas generation of
Wait,
teen actors.
what's his name again?
Devon
Uh-huh.
Sawa. Devon Sawa.
You got a Twitter fight with him?
Yeah, oh, he thought he pwned me. He thought he pwned me.
Oh,
And
fuck.
now I got my mentions are full of fucking Devon Sawa fanboys. And now I'm inundated with these people. And this guy he thinks he got me, and I'll only tell you, Paul, he did not.
Oh,
He
I,
made this joke, okay? You know, Ruth Gator Ginsburg died. Binsburg, whatever her fucking name is. RGB. She's dead. She died, Paul. I don't know if you're dark, so I don't know.
Joe. Yeah. No. Okay. Go. Keep going, please.
The Supreme Court Justice woman. She's
I,
dead.
I'm very aware of who she is.
Oh, okay. She's dead. She's kaput. This guy makes a joke, and he's like one of these like politically active. What? He's one of these politically fucking woke, like hashtag the resistance, like washed up D-list actors.
Well,
And
he's a fucking Canadian, dude. I just fucking Googled him.
oh, he lives in America right now. Okay, I'm sure he can vote. He's lived in America for a very long time. I'm so happy we stopped getting actors from Canada. By the way, now we go from Australia. That's about the time to get back to fucking nationalistic, only American actors.
Do we have a good one? I mean, I think Ryan Reynolds is cool, but I mean, like, what's a Canadian actor? Because now that you mention it, I don't fucking know.
There's a lot of them, Paul. I mean, there's a lot of them. They're
Jim
secret.
Canadian?
Yeah, Jim Carrey's Canadian.
Yeah, fuck him.
Yeah. Fuck this guy.
Yeah, that's so, yeah. Unless if we're talking 1995, The Mask, Jim Carrey.
Anyways, let me tell you something. No, but
I'm sorry.
let me tell you this joke this dude made. I might even have to bring it up. I don't want to get it wrong.
Just,
I wouldn't want to disrespect Devon Sawa. If I can find it now, because I have so many mentions of all the Sawa fans, they're coming after me hard, Paul. They're just like, oh yeah, they're like he posted another joke that I made and said like, because I said, okay, he writes BIG to RBG at the gates of heaven. So you're the other notorious one? I just retweet this guy. I say, what did I say? Devon Sawa is kind of a fucking weirdo, guys. That's so I say. So he comes back at me, and he retweets me, but he has a picture, and I wrote a joke a few days ago about Amber Heard. Do you know who Amber Heard is? The actress? She was married to Johnny Depp. There's all this drama. They're going through some big divorce drama, like wild stories, as you might imagine would happen with drug addicted alcoholics, as you might imagine. So I wrote, somebody posted a smoking picture of Amber Heard. So I said, I mean, I'd probably let her shit in my bed, I guess is what I'm saying. Whatever, I got a washer and dryer, I'll be good. Like as a joke, as a reference to the fact that she shit in Johnny Depp's bed. So he's like, oh, that's weirdo creep behavior. This is going to be a while. Hold on. Where is it? So what did I say in response? Oh my God, where is it? I got him good too. I'm trying to find it, buddy. I'm sorry, man.
Queued up, man. Well, you can fix this up in post.
No, the people got to experience this for real. This is real time. This is happening now. I've been drinking. Like this is what's happening.
You pull it up, man.
Clockwork Orange is great. No, he said I was like, and then he reposted that. So then I retweet him again, his repost, and I say he also isn't a big fan of actual jokes. But then again, it's what I said wasn't as funny as The Fanatic, which is a movie he made with with John Travolta last year. That was like the worst movie of the year, but like ironically fun to watch. And then I said, I would say this is an example of punching down, but it's just clout chasing weirdo Devon Sawa. And then I find these other people that were like being weird about RBG. So I wrote, hey, I just found these and thought Devon could reappropriate them and pass them off as his own at some point. Might want to wait a day or two, make it seem fresh. And the tweets that I brought up were RBG greeting Chadwick, King. Chadwick greeting RBG, Queen. People are writing this stuff on Twitter, like blue checkmarked actual people. And then this other one was like, just told my 10-year-old daughter about RBG. She had tears in her eyes. And then she did the Wakanda pose and said, Ruth Conda forever, which is a pop culture crossover that I can celebrate. Now, we all know that didn't happen. But I figured Devon Sawa might want to see it so he can do like a joke, a variation of that in a couple days with his own child. Oh, and then these bitches, the Sawa, I call them the Sawaners. That's how I've dubbed them. They all like I did not know he would have like this crazy fan base that was like, yeah, whatever, loser. Like that's what they'll stop to write. And I'm like, come on, guys, at least try a little bit. Like, at least try. Somebody was like, wait, why are you clout chasing on Devon Sawa? I was like, clout chasing? I was like, I was trying to. There are. Somebody said there are less embarrassing ways to try to promote your podcast, and I was like, honestly, I hadn't even thought about that. But if I had, I definitely wouldn't be talking to Devon Sawa. And these people, and they don't get it. They can't hear the fucking joke. They don't understand it. Like it just doesn't come out. Like they just don't get it.
His followers are probably stupid Canadians.
Dude, somebody just wrote me something, Paul, just moments ago. He said, I'm not cultured enough to know the notorious RBG. Or is it Biggie? Which one are you not familiar with that you don't get the reference, you dirty lint-licking weirdo? As if I didn't get the joke. Like, this is the sad thing, Paul. They think I don't get the joke other than just thinking that it's a fucking cringy, fucking woke white guy joke. No, it's not because I don't get the joke, everybody. It's because I think it's a fucking, like, it is a hashtag resistance lame joke. You people got to fucking sharpen your tools, okay? But listen, you're going to make me vote for Donald Trump. That's what's going to happen. People like Devon Sawa fucking chase me into the arms of Papa fucking Trump. That's what happens, okay? When people like Devon Sawa open their mouths and have an opinion and people retweet it. That's what happens, okay? And then I had some lady, and then after that, I get these people that are all about, there's like this crew of people that are, they're like, Johnny Depp has been abused. He's a victim of domestic abuse. We have to sign a petition to get Amber Heard fired from everything she's ever been in. So they start tagging me too. And I just said, and I said, what was I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it. So many of stupid shit. This was this afternoon. Oh, I said, I sure will sign this as soon as Devon Sawa does, and then retweets it out to all of his Sawaners. You're right. It's time to take a stand against domestic abusers. Because I want Devon Sawa, Hollywood fuckboy who makes direct-to-video movies and TV shows, I want him to retweet this petition to this high-profile actress that she should be fired from Aquaman 2. Let's fucking sack up Devon Sawa. He's abused Johnny Depp. She's no good, okay? She's shit in his bed, as my first joke, as the joke that started all this will tell you. Okay, she's shit in his bed. You know, good guy Sean over here making jokes. Granted, yeah. Okay? This is not a great joke.
Light of a spicy situation and just got a whole lot harder.
And I'm here for it. Queen. Like, it's Devon Sawa is... Now he's on my shit list. Not really, actually. It was so much fun, like sparring with somebody that
named Sawa. I just like how that sounds.
Listen, like, I don't have I'm not a big Twitter guy. Like, I don't like interact on Twitter a lot. There's some people that like movies and stuff that I'll interact with. I do mostly just movie stuff on Twitter, and I don't really get like political or anything that very often. And that wasn't even political. That's just like, you made a bad joke. You're a fucking weirdo. Like making a Notorious B.I.G. joke and an RBG joke because people called her Notorious RBG because they're fucking lame. The joke itself is lame. Anyways, I can't explain it anymore. I'm ruining it. But anyways, fucking A Clockwork Orange. What a great movie.
So, chapter 21, where we were at before this Sawa business. And I'm going to talk to you after this about that. I got some following up to do on that. Chapter 21, the book. Did you enjoy it as part of the book? Because we both agree at this point. We both agree that the movie was awesome, and it's our preference, like, over the book. Granted, we can both understand that they're two different experiences: a reading experience and a viewing experience, right? I get that, but just in terms of like the story, right? So, chapter 21, in terms of like just not taking the movie out of the picture. Chapter 21. What did it do anything for you?
I think relative to the book, other than like the weird, I felt like there was a tonal shift in the writing, which is why I said earlier it felt like he wrote it like a year later. There's like it's almost like it's from a different perspective, which I guess is the point.
Yeah.
But it did not feel organic. It feels like stuffed in there. I think the point of it is fine. Like I understand the point of it. I just don't understand like the very dramatic shift. Like it didn't feel earned. In the book, it just doesn't feel earned. In those last moments. Although, in fairness to Burgess, I think he did see that stuff. We talked about that a little bit earlier, wherein Alex is a slightly different character in the book. He's a little more nuanced. He's a little bit more aware of what he's doing. He's a little bit more culturally aware. Where the movie feels like an angry screed against the world, and the angry screed against like generational trauma. Like Alex is constantly referencing history and seeing himself as a violent abuser within history, which is kind of like the subtext of like where did I come from? What's my legacy?
Right.
I come from this. We live in a brutal world. People are brutal people. Even when it comes to Jesus, we are fucking brutal. Doesn't matter. I am part of that.
Mm.
So I think, honestly, I just think the ideas work in the book, but I don't like the writing of the last chapter. That's probably what I would say.
Yeah.
I like Kubrick being the cynical person that he is. Leaving it out makes sense. I guarantee you he was aware of it.
Ends perfectly. The film ends perfectly. Yeah,
I'm cured, y'all.
Right? Like, I just...
Which is the end of chapter 20.
Yeah.
That's the last line of chapter 20, if I'm not mistaken.
And just like kind of like looking at it, just like reading it, taking out the movie itself, like I really didn't need that in my life.
Also, just like McDowell's performance, like really, like just really great, like tongue-in-cheek, mischievous, especially at the end there. I love that. Oh, I was cured, all right, and then it just fucking cuts to orange.
Yeah,
It's perfect.
yeah.
Like it really is perfect. Like that stuff, and that's another thing with this. I would say with this movie, it's like it's perfectly cast. It has the sterility of a Kubrick movie, where it's like it feels like it's having a conversation with you, rather than like watching some sort of like emotional experience. It has that clinical distance, but it seems like the actors must have been having a great time making this movie, especially Alex McDowell. I mean, like,
Thinking the rain bit was an improv from Alex McDowell.
yeah, that's not in the book. In the book, it's different because he just
because the book the writer figures out because Alex makes someone you got a phone, you got a telephone. That was the big tell of that.
No, and this is one of the great pieces of adaptation that happened, because that is a way more like visceral and understandable way to figure out who Alex is. That Alex, and this is something that Rob Ager brought up in his video, the Ludovico lie. That Alex, one of the reasons he says that Alex actually was not brainwashed by the Ludovico treatment is because he's able to relive a violent fantasy while sitting in the bathtub of the house where he raped and murdered a woman, and he's able to relive it even physically. Like he splashes at the water in the same rhythm that he kicked this guy in the stomach.
Right.
And then because when I first watched that Rob Ager video, the Ludovico Lie, at least the first beginning, I was like, dude, Rob, I was like, I think you're kind of missing the point. Like, it's about mechanics. It's not about like how you feel. Like, the point is that like you actually may feel a certain way. And then I was thinking about the movie, because I think the movie is a little bit different than the book in this sense, where the movie sets up as just seeing it fucking makes you horrified. It makes you sick.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe in the movie there is a kind of maybe this notion that Alex beat the Ludovico treatment and that he's playing along. But then the only thing that I really have a hard time reconciling with that, though, is like when he meets the Droogs and the bums that attack him, and then the Droogs come and save him when he finds out it's Dim and the other guy, that he does not lash out at all. He lets them abuse him.
Well, they already had the upper hand on him when they get him. They discover who he is. He's already
That's true, right? Because Alex is not some sort of like a karate man. He's not John Wick.
No, and we got the best of them, earlier in the film. It was by a surprise attack, and he got the better hand of them.
Which, by the way, you just got to do with your friends sometime. You got to keep them in check.
You do got to keep in check, man. How many times have we fought? But too, what I thought was interesting, because Rob Ager pointed out in the Levitico Lie, was that as he walks into this house, he's walking through all the different types of pornographic art. As he gets there, completely unfazed by it, and I do think you go through earlier frames in the film it's not there, and it makes you wonder. His parents, obviously didn't want him there. They got another guy, both in the book and in the film. They have another guy living there.
They remodel their house. It's like a hip, cool house now.
And they knew that he was coming out of prison, and then now there's pouring all over the place to see if this treatment works, and then he walks right in there. And I think that really does play to their surprise, oh, hello, Alex, shit, this didn't work, and that's why it was that scene was so intense for them.
Yeah, cool. I mean, it works for the movie, right? Because Alex's character is such an opportunist. Mm-hmm. He's just trying. It's not about thought. It's about the immediate. About what's happening now. How do I get out of prison? Oh, I got to do this thing. Okay, I'll do this thing.
So.
How do I go home? I got to do this thing. You know what I mean? When he gets with the activist people. Okay, what do I got to do for you? It's never this premeditated deep thing for Alex. It's just always the immediate. Always how do I deal with exactly what's in front of me? This primal thing.
Well, let me ask you this, because here's what tripped me out, right? So, Singing in the Rain is obviously it was like a Hammerstein play.
Oh no, it's a movie from with what's his name? Hold on. You talking about Rodgers and Hammerstein?
Yeah,
1952 movie.
Right, but it's it's a classic though. It's a well-known classic.
Yeah, it's Gene Kelly, Stanley Donen. Yes, it's a classic. Yeah.
Okay, so it's a classic thing. Singing in the Rain, and he's doing that while they're doing an atrocious act of breaking and entering, beating up and raping a woman, right?
Yeah.
And that's fine, but when he goes through the treatment and you play Beethoven during with other scenes of violence, and Nazis, then no, that's not okay. And so, and it was just kind of a weird contrast, when they're beating up the elderly, and then because they hate that, but what you pick and choose and how you choose, what's classic and what's not, what can be tainted with, what can be destroyed, and what can't be.
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, this is the thing, and I think I made a note about it when I was watching the movie. That it's ironic they take away the one human thing of him. The one grounding thing of him is that he loves Ludwig von Beethoven. He loves him. It's his favorite thing ever, and without even thinking about it. Which in the book it kind of adds this element of a deeper layer to Alex, that he is actually a more thoughtful person than he seems to be. In the movie it doesn't play so much out like that, because I think they lose a lot of the particulars, the minutia of his character. I think in the movie is a much simpler, baser character, which is just kind of part of his how would I say this? his love of Beethoven, classical music, art really spurs more from some sort of arrogant entitlement, feeling like he is part of a historical movement. Um, and I think that's when he sees himself in the movie specifically, when he sees himself in history committing atrocious acts. That's an extension of that. Like he feels like he is important. He's entitled. He's smart. Like he knows that. And I think just like the Beethoven thing, and especially in the movie because it's such by happenstance, they're just like, oh, you know who Beethoven is? You're 15. Like, why would you know who Beethoven is? You know, it's supposed to kind of clue you into a little bit of a deeper element of him as a person.
It would be more cultured.
And it plays very differently in the book than it does in the movie. In the movie, I feel like it's like this weird, like I said, like I am Western culture type of thing because he's such a sociopath in the movie, and in the book he is, but he's movie, also,
with the exception of prison, right? While he's a free man, like what do you see him dressing up in, right? You know, prior to going to prison, you know, he's in a very, you know, what's the word, like, you know, pimped out, you know, purple coat and all. He's carrying himself. He's walking with a cane. You know, when he goes meets those two Bobishkas at the record store, he goes by, which is another thing they left out in the movie. That they would pay these two old ladies at the bar to be their alibis for whatever.
Their alibis, which I understand why that's not in there because you don't like need it to understand.
You don't need to understand, but like
but that is it makes
it does like take away from, like, you know, the mindless aspect of it. Like they actually had more premeditative thoughts to it. It makes them more like
cunning. They're more cunning. Yeah.
Yeah, cunning, sinister, like go carry out what they're going to carry out.
You got to think about the context of the movie, and like when you actually do see like outside of the apartments and stuff, how it looks like a dystopian wreck. I think the movie is almost saying that the world is maybe in a slightly worse place than it is in the book. The book is more like kind of saying like, socialism has come, and or capitalist endeavor has like really gone wrong. Like it's really taken it to its extreme, where people really are just like tools, right? I don't think it's like some sort of screed against communism or anything. I don't. I think it's kind of balancing out this idea that like any type of government control is about control ultimately, and that's you're gonna fall somewhere in that hierarchy,
right?
But I do think that the movie maybe implies that it's a little worse than it is in the book. I mean, like and the only real part of the movie where you really see the world at large is when Alex is coming home that first morning and there's trash everywhere, or when there's the attempted rape scene when they go fight the other gang in the theater. Like you see this idea that like culture, the youth have no fucking respect for the past. No respect for culture, no respect for the things that were built to allow them to live the lives they live. They just don't give a fuck. And they're there to destroy it, literally. And I think that's why in the movie, especially, they're always attacking like older people. Everybody they attack in the movie is older. They're like middle-aged to like early 60s. And I think that's specific. I think that's very specific. I don't think that's an accident.
Right. And you know what's funny is that David Bowie was like really open about how influential this film was on him, especially like the Suffragette City album, you know, and like it played into like, you know, Ziggy Stardust as well.
And Diamond Dogs, yeah.
And you know, and talking this is like, you know, we got to kill our elders, kill our parents. You know, we got to make a new generation. And that kind of like driven a lot of thing, and that's also into that whole thing, like how, you know, this was like the ultimate punk rock like film, but like which I would agree with.
So would I. It is because, you know, if you think about what punk rock is by its nature and function, it is hedonism. It's primal, right? Like the good punk rock. It is a lashing out.
No,
good punk rock.
It's anti-establishment and self-destruction and just everything that we've just been talking about.
Yeah, as much as I like the Ramones, as much as I enjoy the Ramones are like the most milquetoast fucking punk rock band ever. Like they have nothing in common with like the sentiment and soul of punk rock. Um, because I really do think it is about like wild abandon, violence, maybe not in a good way either. It's about the indiscretion of being young and writing those songs.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is, you know? That's why it's so sad when you find like people in their mid 30s or early 40s that are like still like like fucking I
Well,
carry the political ideology of this thing I heard in the 80s. You're just like, "Oh, shut the fuck up."
well, that's the kind of thing, you know. That's why I say, like, you know, punk is dead, rock is dead. You know, maybe that's, you know, it's a conversation for another time. But it's just, it was a moment of time and a representation of, you know, a feeling, a sentiment, a rebellion for what you were, and then you grew up. And I think that's why I came to like enjoy some of the stuff we listened to when we were kids anymore, because I put it in the perspective of today,
Yeah.
and like what you know, like, and like all these artists that, you know, were hardcore punk rock grew up to be like these, like, you know, like little socialist pussies and
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like I argue with my wife about this all the time. It's like, listen, this is a political ideology they developed when they were 18, and they still say the same things. Like that's not impressive. That's not interesting. Like if you were to fucking just like allow yourself to grow up, like you're pretending that you understood a principle at 18, and then like, oh, that must be what the truth is. It's not interesting. It's not. It's just not. I don't even understand being an artist and feeling satisfied with that. Like how
Mhm.
the like imagine if we were still like have the impulse to write songs or do whatever that we would have when we were 20. Like no, we wouldn't. It's just we're different people. Allow yourself to be a different person. But this is also one of the dangers of celebrity. You're in a vacuum and then you kind of get to stay static because of success. People don't expect you to grow or be different. They actually don't want you to. They want you to
Mhm.
be the same person you were when they liked you 10 years ago, which isn't
Mhm.
just fundamentally is just a lie. It's not true. You can't do that. It's impossible.
No, no.
You know?
Well, it's possible for some people. Some people just don't grow
Not people at Zoobox.com.
the.
Devon Sawa learned that today. No, I was joking.
This motherfucker. No comedian is gonna fucking rag on my man shop, right? And that can't.
Dude, like, listen, I wish he had come back with a stinger or something. But no. Like, no, 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 no. No, no, no. I know hundreds of Saw winners.
Canadian, he probably thought that was a roast. He
Oh,
probably
no.
said boom roasted.
Oh, dude, most of the Saw winners also thought that was a roast. I was like, this is sad.
Well,
This
I
is
probably
sad.
too, man. I probably don't
You know what it
Canadian.
is? You know what it is, Paul? It's boomer shit.
Oh,
That's very online. You want to get plugged back in, buddy? Oh,
oh.
by the way,
So
I saw you on Twitter, buddy.
so I was going to say when we start talking about the Ruth, you know, the RBH shit. Ah, God, I can't. You know, rookie shoulder, a fine Scottish mulch. Mulch. See, there we go. There we go. It's always with you, bud. Always with you. I started it up this morning, and that's why I saw that beautiful clip.
Oh,
Tiny Dancer played in the background. So reporter telling Trump that, you know, Gainsborough,
whoa,
that just like,
she's
oh my
dead.
God. Uh,
He
that's what I
handled it
thought.
well. He handled it well.
I
I'll give him
figured it
that.
out. Yeah,
It was like
yeah,
a movie. It was like a movie because that was playing at a rally that he was about to either go to or had just left,
mm-hmm,
and it was like a movie. Like
mm-hmm.
the way the light was hitting, and he's like, I thought when I first saw that, I was like,
I
oh, did
thought,
somebody put Tiny Dancer in here? I
yeah,
thought somebody put Tiny Dancer in there. I was like, no, that was what happened live on the tarmac. You're like, oh shit.
is crazy because when I first saw the clip, I thought, like, why did someone put Tiny Dancer? That doesn't make any sense.
And then he did the right thing,
Mm-hmm.
which is be respectful. That's all he had to do, and he
Yeah,
did it. And he did it. You know, you
it's
know what
gonna
I mean?
happen. It's gonna happen. Um,
Clockwork Orange.
Wendy Carlos was the whole shebang here. 1979, she was the first public figure to discourse having undergone sexual reassignment.
Yes, yeah. She also did The Shining.
Yep, Yep. She sure did. She sure did.
I appreciate you being respectful of her pronouns. Yeah. No, I mean, well, this is the thing. Like, I think you're just like me. It's just like, yeah, okay, you want to be a trans person? Go for it. Like,
Right.
that's fine. I just don't give a kid at 7 years old puberty blockers. That's weird.
Yeah, it's kind of like, well, quite literally child abuse.
Yeah,
So,
that's right.
yeah.
I draw my line when you think a 6-year-old knows what the fuck they're talking about. That's where I draw my line. They don't even know how to make a sandwich.
Tweet Swallow, or whatever his name is, and ask him what he thinks about that. Can that happen? Because I
Devon
want to know.
Sawa. I could probably ask him, like, yo, Devon, listen, now that we're friends.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
probably
I
has me.
think some people should have more hormone blockers. Do it, man. But now that I'm back on Twitter, Sean, I'll join the army. I'll
Well,
join the
just
army.
get in those private messages with me on Twitter, because that would be a good way. Because I feel bad. I honestly felt guilty. I'm like, oh, fuck, Paul's not on any of this stuff. I got to email Paul.
Mm-hmm.
Like an old man. Like one of these people that Alex would attack on the street.
Dude, I know, man. Like my own brothers, dude. My own brothers. One fucking email. I'm like
And
emailing
I'm
them.
sorry. And that's.
It went dark, but I hope you respect the decision. Even what?
Well, maybe we dip into Twitter. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, maybe we go to Twitter, because nobody is on fucking Twitter except for me and Dan. If you want to get at Deekster too.
I followed Dan.
Yeah.
I followed Dan today. He followed me back, and his fucking picture had me rolling. I'm rolling right now.
Yeah, the Scott Stapp picture.
Yes, the fucking Creed guy.
Dude, yeah. Oh, there's a whole. You could go. There's an episode when he shaved. Zubok goes. Zubok, the regular show, where we definitely talk about that.
He's a handsome.
That's what I said. I was like, shave that fucking beard. If you want to have long hair, shave the fucking beard. I was like, dude, this is pussy grab worthy. Okay, this is good. I was like, but when you get the beard, it's too much. The beard, the glasses, the hair, it's too much. And I looked at him, and he's like, looks at me. I'm like, dude, listen, I'm fucking special. Okay, like I can do it all. Like I don't need.
No, dude. Like I thought exactly. I was like, if he's gonna have that, if he's gonna shave, dude, then fucking cut the hair, dude, because that's.
It's either or, right? It's either or. You can't have both. You cannot live in these worlds. I have long hair because of COVID and barbers around me that like make me paranoid. I got really nice hair. Like I don't just like to let people touch it. You know what I mean?
Nice hair. You do have nice hair.
Although I'm not gonna lie,
conditioner for all those years.
Vanessa and Chris, yeah, biotin.
Chris told it too. Yeah,
biotin. It's called biotin. Yeah, it's like Matrix biotin.
I'm not well versed in these things.
But like it made a difference when we would play shows though, because my hair would just like have that fucking bounce, that volume. You know what I mean?
You had perfect locks. Yeah, perfect locks. That's for sure.
For those that don't know, Paul and I were in a band when we were younger, and we used to play shows. And I had
Doom, and then it was the cause of all of our problems.
Yeah, pretty much actually. Honestly, we still talk today and get in trouble. It's awful. All right. Well. Let's talk about the visual symmetry. No, I was joking. Listen, I love this movie. It was so much fun revisiting it. It's just a fun.
Yeah.
It's thoughtful. It's fun. It's probably the quickest feeling Kubrick movie. Like, I was watching it and I was like, holy shit! I was like, oh, I've been watching this for like 90 minutes. I didn't even realize. Like, it keeps going. It's got a great pace. It's always introducing something new, and I know that's also in the book. I think it's a great adaptation of 20 chapters of this book. for the most part. Like I do think there's slight differences between the main protagonist, but I think Kubrick kind of fucking nailed it here. I really do. Like,
do you know it was initially 3.5 hours long?
Well, release the Kubrick cut is all I'm saying. # release the Kubrick cut. I'd watch this for 3.5 hours.
Yeah, as you know, Kubrick burns everything in the film.
What a dumb bitch. He didn't know that I would be born wanting to watch it.
Feature-length film that was cut out of the film.
Which, it makes sense because he wanted to make, like you said, like there is this punk rock, like this fucking tight, abrasive, visually fucking interesting.
Man, thank you, ma'am. In your face, that happened. Not apologize.
I watch a lot of movies.
He threatened to kill his family, and then he says, "Okay, then we'll take it out of the woods."
Yeah. I watch a lot of movies, right? And this is a quick 2 hours, 16 minutes. This is very quick. Because
It doesn't feel that long. It does not feel
it feels like a 90-minute movie, which to me, as an older person, I'm like, 90 minutes? If you can tell your story in 90 minutes, chef's kiss. Like, I'm like, fuck yeah. There's an art to the 90-minute movie, and I think it is the perfect length now that I'm older. You know, back when I was a kid, I was like, stupid. I was like, oh shit, fucking 3-hour King Kong movie, fucking rad. When I'm 33, going on 34, I'm like, get on with it, get on with it, Peter Jackson. Just get the fuck on with it.
Yeah,
but anyways, but yeah, it's like honestly, I could watch this for another hour. Although that's who knows?
That's part of like a good song, right? Or a good anything, right? Like, oh man, I wish it could have kept going. Do you? I don't know. And that's what makes it great because you wanted more and it ended.
Yeah, you're right.
If you got more, you might have been, oh, that was too long. So, but it goes back to, I mean, we can't do a Kubrick bit without referring to him as the master. So
he really is, though. Like Dan Prophet. If you listen to this, you're dumb piece of shit. He's over there saying that he's like, what is it called? The fucking, oh my god! Now I was gonna make fun of him. I can't remember the name of the movie. The Marine one, Full Metal Jacket.
Oh yeah,
Full Metal Jacket is the only Kubrick movie I like. What a dumb bastard.
One, he's been living out in Vermont, so I hear for a while. So we all know they're a little loopy out there. I'm a New Englander. I love all New England except for everyone in Maine and some people in Vermont. But Dan.
I sent him a box of.
I got kicked out. It was like I ran away from home one Labor Day weekend, and I lived in Dan from Vermont's house for a few days.
Yeah, didn't you go see a Matrix movie on IMAX too?
Yeah, that's right. We got high as fuck.
And then Paul comes back to me. Paul tells me his takeaway from this experience is like, yeah, Dan Prophet thinks the Pixies are stupid.
Oh yeah, that did piss me off. But
Dan Prophet's just lucky Paul didn't have a cast that he would hit him on the head with. That's what Paul did. Paul broke his arm when we were kids, or had his actually arm broken by another person, and he would hit people in the face with it. But yeah, I'm sure Dan remembers that fondly. Of course he does. Why would he? How could he forget it?
Dan, like in between slaughtering innocent animals like the monster you are, rewatch some of these films, and you might not be seeing.
Listen, I sent Dan a box full of movies, so I had like so many doubles and stuff. And like I can't pay you guys. I mean, Paul, you're just gonna have to do it. Like whatever. I don't worry about you. But like I had all these doubles and stuff. I got a Cinema Fiend. I'm like, let's hook the guy up. Let's hook it up.
Nice, man.
Like, and it feels good. I like doing that stuff. It feels good inside to me. Like, I'm like, ooh, I get to share something with a movie friend. Like, just like doing these podcasts. Like, reading the book and talking about the movie with an old friend. Like, it just feels good to me. And I sent him some Kubrick stuff. He's got The Shining in 2001, and I expect some sort of report at some point. I'm not, listen, no strings attached, but, like, don't be a piece of shit. Anyways. He's had enough time. I don't need to talk about him anymore. I'll be talking to you.
He's not at the point in his life yet where the kid's old. Yeah, you know what I mean? He's not like,
oh, Dan's still, in all
my kid.
In respect to Dan, this is the funniest thing to me is like Dan's the kind of guy that'll be like, I work 90 hours like cutting all this stuff, be like, yo, I mowed the lawn, bro. Pound it. He's like, yeah, I hauled this cow up this thing and like had to cut all this stuff. I'm like, yo, dude, fucking rake some leaf, pound it.
Yeah, today. That was labor intensive.
Yeah, it was. Honestly, it was. Like, I don't want to be I gotta be fragile. I'm on a diet, like in a week, You
got a Canadian making fun of you on Twitter.
Oh my God.
All kinds of fragile.
He came for me, but he failed, in my opinion. I mean, I'm biased. It's me. But I think he failed. I was like, here's an opportunity, fella. Here's an opportunity. Find why I'm a weirdo. Don't repost the joke I made that is clearly a joke. Like, come on, buddy.
I gotta call in a favor
Yeah.
and have Bruce Campbell make a absurd joke on Twitter.
Dude, you know what we got to do? We got to pay Bruce Campbell on Cameo to fucking make a video dissing Devon Sawa and then send it to him. Actually, you know what? Fuck that. We got to find somebody Devon Sawa's been in a movie with that's on Cameo and then pay them hundreds of dollars to just talk shit about Devon Sawa.
You're gonna have to text me his name so I don't forget it tomorrow. So look it up.
Listen, this is going to happen. Devon Sawa is the enemy, everybody. I need you, everybody that listens to this, you need to go find Devon Sawa of Idle Hands and Final Destination. I know some of you know who that is. You find him on Twitter and you say, hey, man, yo, Sean's a good guy, but you're a piece of shit. I heard that you might have some sort of sexual allegations in your past. I don't know if this is true. I'm just saying, you say you might have heard it out there. Just get people talking. Twitter. Let's get this guy canceled. He's obviously needs to be Me Too'd. I'm joking. Please don't do that.
Me too. I think we just want to get enough people exercising their free speech and calling out for what it is.
No, you're right, Paul. No, of course I'm kidding. I would not want anybody to go look at old articles of Devon Sawa from 2005 or 2006. I would never want that. That would be a bad thing to do. It'd be awful. In fairness to myself, Paul, I know about some stuff, and I never fucking ever did anything with it. Because I was like, no, let's keep it Twitter friend. Let's keep it on Twitter. Like, whatever happens here, we're going to keep it here. I ain't going to be going outside of Twitter to go find stuff about Devon Sawa. But there are things that I know. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying. Things have happened. Man.
I'm like a droog out here trying to ruin these old people, these old guys. Ugh.
Droog. Real quick, I just want to say one thing, just like a little fun. Well, it's fun to me. It's fun to me. But because of this movie, A Clockwork Orange, I almost wasn't born because of it.
Oh, shit. Let's hear it.
The first date he ever had with my mom, he started talking about this film. And Box Nation, my mom is a classic traditional Irish Catholic type. And still very much is so. At the time,
I can hear your dad's voice, too. I can hear that, like, rising intonation. So, I saw this movie, Clockwork Orange. It's really interesting.
You're gonna nature free will, and
hey, listen, your mom should like this movie because it makes it.
My mom that's going, what's it about? And then my dad gives excruciating details about everything that he talks about, and then she started thinking like, this is what he likes, and started like, oh God, and she almost didn't go on a second date with him, but luckily
this is like when Travis Bickle picked up that chick from the. Have you ever seen You've seen Taxi Driver, right?
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Wait.
Robert De Niro.
No, you scolded me on a couple of podcasts ago.
I won't say them because we're gonna watch that together. Because we have to. This is the work. This is the work of Zoobox Goes to the Movies.
Holidays right around the corner, so
it's almost there. We're almost there.
Almost there, man. Almost there. I'm still looking at ways to make a monolith from my front yard.
This is what I like to hear. See, this is what I like to hear when Zoobox Goes to the Movies, rather. The influence it has on America and people's front yards, because somebody's going to see Paul building a monolith. They're going to be like, what's that? Because he lives in like some sort of Halloween competitive neighborhood. And they're going to be like...
No, there's a couple of houses that have no idea that they're competing with me. I'm not over it. I'm just like...
Or so you think. Maybe they think the same thing about you.
Yeah. Well... I just picked up another couple of hundred orange and purple lights from my bushes. They went to Home Depot today to rent a hedger. I paid like $30 to rent this like hedger for like fucking 4 hours, just so I can get them perfectly round, so that way it'll like net.
Yeah, I like it.
It's September, motherfucker.
Listen, I think what you should do is like take all these like ornate bottles that you've been saving up, and then whenever kids pass by, you just smash it.
Well, here's the thing. Like little apes, like ape-like figurines that are like at least like 4 feet tall are pretty expensive because I wanted to have fucking apes all around the monolith as well, like one in that. But I might.
Wait. Have you thought of this? Silhouettes. You cut out you get some poster board or some like foam,
Mm-hmm.
print out like a silhouette of an ape, right? And then you just cut out the silhouettes, and then you have some backlighting because you're gonna need backlighting for this monolith, right? And then that's gonna fucking make those apes pop. So if you get some of that, if you get some foam like poster board, go to Home Depot. It's the kind of stuff you use in kitchens and whatnot, right? That duck shit, fucking 5-6 feet high.
Mm-hmm.
Then get a stencil of an ape. I'm just saying for the effect,
No.
or you just tell your kids to do the right thing.
Yeah, and just stay in the ape outfit. You're not going trick or treating. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe my town, but you can't do it because of the thing.
Yeah. Dude, what if you just dress up like the monolith and your kids are the monkeys?
No, it'll happen. I'll send you pictures.
I mean, like as far as
okay, I'll talk to you after this. You'll get the pictures. But
Kubrick Halloweens, dude. Like Sarah and I, Sarah's down for this, so I'm thankful. It's like we are definitely going as the Torrances one year.
Oh shit!
Yeah, we're definitely doing that one year. I don't know if it's gonna be this year, maybe next year. Maybe, at least for a picture or something around the season. Maybe instead of sending Christmas cards or whatever, we'll just send a Halloween card out to people.
Apollo 11 sweater for Foster to wear, and then
it's gonna be a pricey venture, so we gotta save up because those things are so wildly cost. This costs so much fucking money. If you want to like get like the sweater, it's like $90 for a sweater for a 3-year-old. You're like, fuck, this kid's gonna wear this one time. This is not cost effective.
Yeah.
We have a comforter and stuff. We were gonna get the sheet set that was the carpet from The Shining.
Mm-hmm.
It was like $120. I was like, that's fucking outrageous, dude. Like it's a print.
Was it even Egyptian cotton?
No, it was like some cheap ass fucking comforter cover. Like
it's like novelty shit, dude.
I know it's gross.
You're like for your wedding, like all right. So, all right, can I talk about your wedding on Zbox Nation?
Of course.
Yeah. So like, my man Sean here and his wife said they got married on Halloween, and then I wanted to go as Dumb and Dumber, but I needed a right hand man. I couldn't just be in an orange tux by myself. So your brother Dan was all about it. So then I ended up dropping $160 on these two stupid
plastic, like just slip over tuxedos, and it was great. By the way, it's awesome. I loved it. I mean, that kind of shit like really like made my day. Like honestly, like, and the thing that made it even better is that Paul had never taken them out of the package, and they all had all these fucking creases in them, like they had been folded up for forever. Because this is the great thing about this. This is why me and Paul are friends, because I had never put on my costume that I was going to wear the day I got married until I was in the parking lot about to get married. I wrote my vows 45 minutes before I left to go get married.
But you were thinking about them for weeks on
end. Of course. So years, Paul. Years. No, it's just like, I don't know. Like, it's one of those things. It's just like, that's why we're such good friends. But I loved it. I love that shit, though. That was great. Honestly, I was just so happy I didn't have to wear a suit. Like, I got to trick everybody into wearing fucking, like, just wear whatever. You're good.
Yeah. There's some other good costumes there. That was a good night. We
actually, Sarah and I have plans for, like, future Kubrick Halloweens. Like, we're like, we're going to be the Droogs. I'll probably have to be Dim, which is pretty but I can't let Foster be Dim. Foster would probably be Alex. I'll give him the honor of Alex.
Yeah, but then Sarah can, like, do up his eyeball,
Either that or Sarah and I go as his parents.
She wears, like, a wig.
Yeah, that would be good, too. That would be a good one, too.
That would be good. Be good.
We're gonna be Kubrick Halloween people until Foster can tell us that he thinks it's stupid.
Or if you get a red spacesuit, she gets a yellow spacesuit, and then you put Foster all in black and like make him howl. Just get like a red dot on him. Yeah.
I would love that. I would love it so much. Yeah, we're gonna be a weird movie family, and like I guess just to end the episode. Speaking of youth, like I took Foster for the first time ever to a movie the other day.
Oh.
We went COVID live. We went to a movie theater. If you guys don't know, Regal Cinemas, they got these like Regal classics. You can go for like $8. You got a kid, $5 for me, $3 for him. Go see a movie. Fuck it. We had never seen
concession stands there too. Like, can you get like popcorn and shit?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, at least where we live, we can. I don't know if that's nationwide, but we can. So we went. We have already had COVID because my wife works with people that she works with. So we already actually got sick. So there's kind of like for us, the barrier to entry is very low. It's like, okay, cool. Yeah, I'll go see a movie. Sure. Like, I got that good plasma. I'm good for at least 3 months, at least.
Until the second wave.
Until the second wave, you're dead. You're dead. Go see the movies now. That's why you got to go see them now.
I'm afraid of my mask is my freedom suppressor. Work. Like, hey, where's your freedom suppressor? I'm like, oh shit. Oh.
You know what's great? I love when you like have your mask on, you're sweating, like, and you fucking got that mask sweat. Oh, it's wonderful.
Everyone does the same thing when they take their mask off, put it in their back pocket, and then put it back on when they're going somewhere.
Oh, it's a facade. It's a game. It's a fucking stupid game.
It's the state controlling us.
It has nothing. Nobody is like
a clockwork.
Even if those things were more useful than 7% effective of giving somebody else COVID, nobody is following the actual rules. So it's just fucking stupid. Because everybody goes like this. Everybody's got it below their nose. Like, it's like whatever. Like, it's so stupid to have to do it. And
so my place of employment where I'm working, like, I have to wear it unless I'm in a designated smoking area or unless I'm drinking or eating something.
That's when you go to a movie theater, boy. You buy yourself that big tub of popcorn, and you're like,
I'm eating, I'm drinking, and I'm watching a movie. It's
because this makes it better. This makes it different. When all the fucking restaurants opened up, one of our mutual friends, T-Bone, you know what I'm talking about, T-Bone. He's a big restaurant guy. He's like, well, you go in, you got to wear your mask until you sit down, and then when you sit down and you order, you can take it off. I'm like, you're inside of a building. Like, it's like, what are you talking about? Like, why would anybody believe that's effective? Like, either it is something or it isn't. Like, let's stop playing games.
Our pool, so we had to wear a mask walking into our pool area. Yeah. It's an outdoor pool, but you got like this overhang. So we go in there and we sign it, and then as soon as we get in there, we set up, then we take it off. Well, you have to put it back on when you go into the bath. So nothing makes sense, man.
Dude, it's like when people were like, when all the stuff with George Floyd first happened, people would have barbecues and they would put signs out in front of their houses, say like in solidarity with George Floyd.
Oh my God.
Not even shitting you, because then the cops, they wouldn't come and bother you.
Yeah.
That's a real thing that happened.
Oh wow!
Listen, you can mass protest. You can mass protest 10,000 people on the street, but you can't go see your fucking dying grandmother. Remember that.
Yeah.
Anyways, like, it's like some of this stuff is real. I'm not a doctor, and but I love Clockwork Orange.
It was a good video, my friend. It was a good video.
Yeah, and these droogs would have no patience for what's going on right now. They like masks on their eyes to obscure that. They don't like it over their faces because they want to be here. They want to be heard, And that's really the salient point. That's really what we got to take away from A Clockwork Orange is maybe be a little bit more punk rock. Don't let yourself be a Clockwork Orange and be controlled by the state or something or whatever.
Some bullshit. Or if you're going to be like Lane Jane, like chapter 21, hey, it'll get better. You'll grow up, and it doesn't matter what you fucking did. Man, I don't know, man. It was like an okay book and a great movie, and I'm glad that we got to tackle this one together.
No, it was a lot of fun talking about it. Honestly, it was. I think this is one of the better ones we've done. It's a fun movie and it's fun to talk about. And there's all these sort of different things that are going on with it. I do think it literally plays directly into my sense of humor. A lot of Kubrick stuff does, but this one feels like way more overtly does. You know, I really enjoyed the revisit because it had been a couple years. So I'm glad that it provided me the opportunity to do so. But anyways, so thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for listening. If you'd like to know more about Zoobox and everything that goes on at Zoobox Nation, go ahead and click some of those links in the description. There's Facebook, there's Instagram, there's Twitter. There's also Dan's Twitter now. Dan's got a Twitter now, at Deekster2. If you would like to make a recommendation for any of these daily videos that I do, or for something for the big show, for this one, what you're watching now, the exciting stuff, okay? When I bring on a guest and I don't just like talk to myself for 12 minutes. This would be the place to do it. Drop it in those comments. Like, subscribe, tell your friends, unless they're Devon Sawa. Then don't tell them. Well, tell him what I said, but don't share this video with him. He doesn't deserve it. Devon Sawa is a hack. I hope that I hope he enjoys his next starring appearance in some sort of red box exclusive movie. I hope he's happy with his career and his abilities, and that he looks about 60, even though he's about in his late 30s, because he was a drug addict and alcoholic and abused a lot of people, as I intimated in 2005, 2006. Anyways, you have a great time, everybody. Goodbye.